At this time, we'll go ahead and start the commission meeting for tonight. Madam Clerk, do you mind with starting roll call?
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Present.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Here.
Commissioner Howington.
Here.
Commissioner Lully. Commissioner Santiago.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harriet.
Present.
Mayor Villa.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, who will be presenting the invocation, a national anthem, as well as honoring a veteran.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Today, I would like to call up Nick Pizza to do the invocation for the city tonight. And then after that, I would like to ask Gabriel Aviles to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I will represent the national anthem afterwards. Nick?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Would you bow your head, please? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege that we have to come to you anytime and do it invoking your presence to be with each one of us tonight. Lord God, so we're thankful for what you're doing here in this city of Deltona. We're thankful for all those who are here tonight. We're thankful, Father God, that we have a dais and we have a vice mayor and we have a mayor and we have a city under control because of all these things. But we need you, Father, because we need you to guide us and direct us along the way. For every opportunity tonight to represent the city, we need a good vote, a conscious vote, a loving vote, Father God, that will pass and bring things under order. Lord, we know you're about being needed in order, so we're invoking your presence tonight to do exactly that. We're asking you to set apart each and every one here on the dais so that what they make and decisions they make, they do it on behalf of the people in the city of Deltona and for the betterment of the city of Deltona. Lord, we're inviting you now to be a part of this through your Holy Spirit. Bless us and bring your peace into this place tonight, and let everything be done the way you would want it to be done, again, in need and in order. And we'll give all the praise to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Nick. I would like to ask Gabriel. He's a current National Guard, and I would like you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I'm sitting down because I wanted to read something very quickly about the young lady that's going to be singing the national anthem. Melody Aviles graduated with honors from Deltona High School in 2024. The doctor said that she would never read, write, or speak correctly. Through years of intense therapy, hard work on her part, and God's healing, she overcame her condition of autism. She found her voice in music and has been very busy. She has sung in front of thousands of people and received an invite from Congressman Corey Mills, where she sang the national anthem at our nation's capital. Singing our national anthem today in our chambers for the first time, please welcome our very own Melody Aviles. Gabriel, you could come up with her to help her if you want. Okay.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
With the veterans now? Okay, I'm going to ask all commissioners to please come down for the recognition of our veteran. So as we all know, every city commission meeting, we commissioners have the opportunity to recognize a veteran from Deltona, the city of Deltona. Today, I chose to recognize Rainier, also known as Ray Combs. When you see him, you will know who he is. He leads an organization here called VIMA Bikers. This organization is veterans, firefighters, and law enforcers. Rainier Combs, 10th Platoon Leader, Division Signal Officer, is it First Lieutenant? First Lieutenant, retired, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service. Come up, Ray. Thank you for your service from 1991 to 2002. Officer Combs began his journey of service in the Army as an armor crewman in 1991, where he served honorably and reached the rank of E4. He transitioned out of to pursue higher education, and during his studies, joined the ROTC program. Upon graduating in 1997, he returned to the Army as a commissioned officer and served until 2002, achieving the rank of
O2. Combs was deployed to Bosnia and Kosovo, contributing to critical peacekeeping missions in the region. Upon leaving the Army, he transitioned into aviation and went into government contracting as a pilot, flying cargo missions into Afghanistan to support ongoing operations. He ended his military career in 2012 and now flies for JetBlue as a captain, continuing service for his community with Veteran Forces Motorcycle Association, also known as VIMA. Your continued dedication to our community is making a positive impact within our city. Thank you, Ray, for your friendship and for being so involved in the city of Deltona. Thank you. I'd like to thank Maritza for recognizing me. I do a lot of hard work with my organization and other veterans groups. I know the city hurts a little bit, so whatever I can give back, that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you.
Just FYI, the first bikers run that we did here last year, whatever they raised, this organization gave back to the fire department a check for $6,700.
At this time, I'd like to ask the Sheriff's Office, and it looks like we have Sheriff Chitwood here with us as well, but Captain McKnight to present the end-of-year review. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commission, City of Deltona. It's going to be hard to follow that national anthem. That was amazing. That was amazing.
You know, that's the second time I've gotten to hear that, and it's been phenomenal both times. That's
Yes, sir.
really something, an asset we have in the community.
Yes, sir. So, Sheriff's Office in 2024, we had a great year. Specifically in Deltona, we had an awesome year. So I took over here in October for Captain Eric Powers, and I've been met with nothing but positivity since I've been here. For those who don't know, we've got 86 sworn members that are contracted to protect Deltona. That includes investigations and narcotics. I do want to touch on our training academy for this 2024. We had 2 graduating classes. That was 25 trained deputies that came out of that class. So we've got 25 new recruits that started this year. So our vision statement, obviously, is for the deputies to continue to perform their duties based on our vision statement of accountability-based policing, community engagement, technology, servant leadership, and diversity. And we'll get into our CompStat model later on, but it really does prove to be a good change for this area since Sheriff Chitwood took over. Speaking of training, training in 2024 became accredited through CALIA, which that was a big deal in 2024. We are now a Tri-ARC designation, so we're accredited in law enforcement, communications, and training. There's only 36 agencies worldwide that have that designation, 24 in the United States, and we're only the 3rd agency in the state of Florida. So that was a huge certification that we got this year. So we had to transition also from what we used to call UCR for Uniform Crime Reporting. Now we do what's called NIBRS, which stands for National Incident-Based Reporting, and they are 2 different animals. So UCR was a summary-based reporting. So if you go to a house, it's 1 incident, it's 1 report, it's the highest level charge of whatever it was there, highest report, and that's what gets reported to the FBI. Now it's incident-based. So an example would be if there's a fight involving 7 people that are victims, you have 7 batteries on that person that's reported instead of 1 incident like before. Or if somebody goes to a house, breaks into a house, steals keys, steals a car that's in the driveway, that's actually a burglary and also a motor vehicle theft. So you got 2 different incidents for something like that. So the numbers do look higher, but our clearance rates are still outstanding. So part of our Group A crimes that's listed up on the board there, those are ones we really hammer home and do our best to solve. The biggest advantage of a NIBRS reporting, and by the way, this is a change that's nationwide. It's not just something we just chose to do. The FBI went to this. The biggest advantage is it's more detailed and more transparent reporting. So our CompStat model is how we fight crime. It's a performance management system that is used to reduce crime and achieve other department goals. It emphasizes information sharing responsibility, accountability, and improving effectiveness. It's a tried and true method. We'll cover the specific pillars on a future slide, but it really does help us identify trends, and then we'll go attack what we need to attack. So with the Sheriff's Office, we meet weekly as district captains, the investigative captain, and our narcotics captain, as well as all our program directors. We meet with the sheriff and the chiefs every week, and we discuss every single crime that happens in this county. Not only does that help us really hone in weekly on what we're doing, but we can also identify trends for the rest of the county. So if we have something that's going on in DeLand that's filtering into Deltona, we get to hammer that home in those meetings. And as I said, these are the 4 pillars of CompStat: timely and accurate intelligence, rapid deployment of resources, effective tactics, and relentless follow-up. That's our key components that we abide by daily. So I would also encourage, this is obviously a quick presentation, but I would encourage everyone to come to our public CompStat meetings that we hold every month. So it's the 2nd Thursday of every month. It's at a different venue each month, but we do come to Deltona, I think, 3 times a year. There's ability to ask questions to not only the sheriff and the chiefs, but also to the captains and other program directors. It's a back and forth, it's an open forum. So for our stats for 2024, we were at a clearance rate for our Group A crimes of 76.72%. So you're talking 3 out of every 4 crimes we're solving. And the national average for that same time period from 2023 is 41.1%. The 2024 numbers aren't out yet for nationwide, but for the national average, it's probably gonna be close to the same. Usually it trends about the same, and we're 35% above the national average for Deltona. We can't compare numbers, so NIBRS started in the summer of 2023. So then 2024 is our first full year of having the new NIBRS reporting system. So this time next year, we should be able to compare numbers. So here's a quick fact sheet for those that want to see it. While you guys are looking at that, I'm going to explain a couple of new units that the Sheriff's Office has created. We have an overdose task force that was created, and the overdose task force targets the dealers that are selling the drugs to our victims. And the overdoses, I know it used to be a huge problem, but it's trending down. Our overdose deaths were down this year 37.5%, and our regular overdoses, the ones that did not die, they were down 43.9%. So it's trending way down than what it used to be. Obviously, our narcotics unit from the city is showing a positive influence with these numbers. For Deltona narcotics unit, they completed 13 total search warrants, and in those search warrants, they were able to seize 11 firearms and got those guns off the street. In addition to search warrants, they've also been participating with prostitution ops in the parks, underage alcohol sales, and vape tobacco operations at some of these gas stations selling to underage people. And as I mentioned, we've got our financial crimes unit. That was just created in September of 2024, officially and staffed. And with those numbers, they've been assigned 17 cases from Deltona. They've made 2 arrests, and they've recovered almost $500,000 in monies. I don't think anybody can read that, but it's kind of the breakdown for City of Deltona for our offenses and clearances with our clearance rates, but at the bottom we're at 76.72%. So I know biggest problem here in Deltona that I get complaints on a pretty much a daily basis is traffic. And our traffic numbers up on the screen is for just our traffic unit, and we've got 10 positions plus 2 sergeants, and that's their numbers up there, but I'm going to give you the district totals to include our patrol, our uniform patrol. For the year, we had a total of 19,178 citations, or traffic stops, I'm sorry, and a total of 9,167 citations. That's actually from just patrol. So in addition to that 15,000 number. So very good work. Every time we get an email complaint for traffic, we staff that immediately and we hammer it home. We had the ability to participate in several different community engagements this year. This is the Boys and Girls Club summer camp that we were at. Let's see, so one of our lieutenants, Ryan Mills, was able to be principal for the day at Timbercrest Elementary. He said that was a very eye-opening experience. He said he likes his current job. We also did the Great American Teach was on November 20th. This was a nationwide initiative, and here in the city of Deltona, we participated in 5 elementary schools, all with positive interactions with many of the students. So that was a great deal. We got to explain kind of what we do on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, we had the Deltona Christmas Parade, which was another successful event. We had a nice turnout, plenty of well-decorated floats, and that was my first time attending the parade, and it was very awesome to see that at night. I always see the daytime parade, so the nighttime parade was really awesome. So I'm looking forward to a great 2025. We're not going to let off the gas as we strive to make Deltona safe. That's our priority. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to ask our finance director to present a budget overview of the process for this upcoming year.
Will the Deputy Finance Director be okay?
That'll be more than sufficient. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Commission. How are you all this evening? I'm John McKinney, the Deputy Finance Director. This evening, I'm going to go over very briefly the budget process. If you have additional questions, be more than glad to answer them this evening or get back to you. This evening, I want to highlight 5 key components: the budget development, the zero-based budget, requested enhancements, the Florida property tax system, and the budget process timeframe. The budget development process involves identifying budget goals, reviewing operating budgets, identifying the capital improvement plan, identifying capital outlay needs, looking at projected revenues for next fiscal year, and looking at reviewing available fund balance. When we're developing a budget, we have to look at several key items. Personnel costs, looking at what our union contracts are. Actuarial reports, looking at pensions and OPEB, other post-employment benefits, and looking at what the estimates for health insurance and other lines of coverage might be in the upcoming year. We then need to look at the indirect cost, how we charge the city manager, HR, finance, IT, fleet, all those indirect items that we have to charge to all the various operating funds. Then we have to look at our outstanding debt, making sure that we are, covering our cost as it revolves, paying for our debt and our water sewer, general fund, stormwater, et cetera. We have to look at what the needs are in the upcoming fiscal year. The city manager has to develop options to balance the budget. We put together several budget workshops and seminars that we meet with you, the commission, as well as the departments within the city. In June, we received the pre-preliminary numbers from the property tax appraiser for taxable values, and then in July, we received the preliminary taxable values, and we use that to present to you what the proposed budget is so that you can set the maximum millage in late July. We have to look at your strategic plan, making sure that we're setting the budget goals that are in line with the strategic plan that the City Commission has passed. Then we have to have engagement. The budget team makes information accessible to all so that we can seek input from the citizens, the commission, the city manager, and all the department heads throughout the city. This is getting the necessary input and building trust as we go through the budget development process. This year, the city manager has tasked the budget team to look at zero-based budgeting. This is where the city manager will have to sit down with the departments, and the departments will have to justify all the expenditures, whether it's operating, as well as the capital replacement needs of that department. So it's just not take that budget and give a 3 to 5% increase over the prior year. We have to look at each individual position. If there's an open position, you have to justify the open position, as well as all upcoming operating costs for the year. As well as, I want to just definitely highlight the bottom row second from the left. We also want to leverage potential grant opportunities from federal and state agencies to help pay for part of our capital improvement plan, as well as potential capital outlay. And in some cases, there are positions that we can have be reimbursed by the federal or state government. The general fund, as you all are aware, is the largest single fund not only in this city, but in most government agencies in the country. The general fund is basically the majority of everything within the city. It's your streets, your fire department, your city manager, your finance, recreation, parks, your sheriff's contract, your city commission, as well as information technology, HR, planning and development services, public works, and code enforcement. That is, as I said, the largest single fund within the city. But it's not the only funds. We have proprietary and special revenue funds. Your proprietary funds are your water sewer, and we currently have special revenue funds of solid waste, impact, stormwater, and CRA. All of these funds have their own funding source separate from the general fund. Revenue sufficiency. We work with our outside consultants to provide a review of the sufficiency of revenues that we charge, whether it's, water sewer, our non-ad valorem assessments for stormwater, solid waste, street lighting, and other special assessments that might be out there either the day or in the future. As well as we have to look at the impact fees. Are we charging the appropriate fee for the future users of the system, not the current user? And we have to look at all of the charges for service. So that's another thing that we're looking at going into next fiscal year. We're developing a citywide fee resolution that's making sure that we're capturing all the fees that the city charges. If it's not in a resolution, I'm not supposed to charge it. It must be by a resolution approved by the commission. We do all of this on our revenues to make sure that we can pay for the capital improvement program as well as annual operating expenses. Our financial policies. They are the foundation of developing the budget, whether we're talking about our purchasing, our investment, our debt, our accounts receivable, accounts payable, our fund balance policy, how much should I have for that rainy day, as well as emergency pay. That might not seem like a lot, but if we don't have a legitimate and approved emergency pay policy as approved by the city manager, that can prevent us from getting reimbursement during a natural disaster such as a hurricane from the federal government. Our capital outlay. Our capital outlay is we have a very good policy on how long, either by years or by mileage, we're supposed to replace all of our city vehicles. Having that as a policy gives us a great foundation by which how do we project future capital replacement for vehicles and equipment. Capital outlay is typically for an asset that's greater than $5,000 in value and has a life expectancy of more than 1 year. Then we have our capital improvement plan. This is a planned and programmed approach to identifying the capital investments the city intends to make over a 5-year period for land, for buildings, for infrastructure, above and below ground for the things you cannot see, as well as for easements that we might need to put some of that infrastructure through on private property. These are typically items greater than $50,000 and has a life expectancy greater than 20 years. So this would not be this podium, it would be this building. Requested enhancements. This is additional funding beyond a standard operating budget for a new program, improve an existing service, or acquire new equipment. This could be part of fleet, a new vehicle, new IT hardware, additional positions. And when we do any one of those 3 items, we also need to make sure there might not be a new revenue source that we can utilize to fund it so that we're not burdening the current taxpayers or ratepayers on this, whether the millage rate we charge or the fees we charge for water sewer. The Florida property tax system. The easiest way to everyone always remembers is TRIM, truth and millage. The truth and millage is governed by Florida statute chapter 200. It's very clear on the roles and responsibilities for the Volusia County Property Appraiser, the Volusia County Tax Collector, we as staff, and everything that the City Commission has to do as part of the budget process. The three things that the City Commission has to do as part of TRIM: set the maximum millage in July, and you have 2 public hearings in September. The first public hearing, you're approving the tentative millage and budget, and the second public hearing is approving the final millage and budget. And it has to be in that order. The millage must be approved before the budget. So you'll always see Robin and I are back here. If something gets out of order, we'll get the city manager or city attorney's attention to say, whoa, because we always have to make sure that motion is very clear. That's the one thing that is my responsibility as well as Robin's, to make sure it's done, because that's what guarantees that we can set the millage rate and approve the budget. I've put on here, I won't go through there, but I've highlighted all of the important dates as part of the TRIM. Okay, how do we calculate the tax bill? It's very easy. The property appraiser sets the value. You apply for an exemption, whether we're talking about homesteads, senior, or all the various exemptions are allowed, and that gives you what your taxable value is. You multiply that taxable value by the total millage rate, not just the millage rate that the city imposes, but also what the school board, the county, the hospital, and all the other special agencies that are allowed to set millage rates. And then you have to look at the non-ad valorem. So you take the millage base, which I always say is above the line on the tax bill, and the below the line, which are the non-ad valorem assessments. You take those two together, and that's your total tax bill to the individual. And the good news is, depending on when you pay it, you might get a discount. So if you pay early, you get up to a 4%, and if you pay later, you get 1%, but all taxes are due by March 31st. And a little tidbit to that is the city will receive all the money that is on that tax bill, whether we pay it through this or if the county issues a tax deed in May. So the city will receive everything that we do put on the tax bill. I already went through the exemptions, but I just want to highlight on the bottom left, a homestead property can only increase in value by 3% annually, unless you might have done an enhancement to the property, a pool, an addition, etc. And non-homestead property is capped at a 10% annual increase. I won't go into portability. That is better explained by the property appraiser, because it's a very interesting and unique item. I just wanted to highlight, I said this previously, the breakdown of the total tax bill. We are only one of quite a few portions within that tax bill. We make up the most, but we're not the majority. Okay? The total millage rate this year for a resident of Deltona was just over 19 mills. And here's the tax bill. I said it previously, but if you look at the levying authority, I said below, earlier, above the line, everything in green, yellow, and red and orange is above the line, and everything below that is below the line. So that's the ad valorem and non-ad valorem section of your tax bill. The budget process timeline, I highlighted that. It's very similar to what was on page 15, but this is what the city's requirements are to go along with the TRIM notice. So again, I stated, July and September are the big 3 meetings that the City Commission has to make action on. If you have any additional questions either this evening or at a later date, feel free to reach out to Robin and I, and we'll do our best to get those answers back to you. And I just want to, this will be passed out to you, but I just want to say that, here is the overall calendar for city staff, and I have made sure that within the calendar it doesn't really show up on this very well, but if you look on the calendar, the items in Salamander are the action items for the City Commission. With that, I'll open it up if there's any questions.
Do we have any commission questions? Seeing, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this time, City Manager, do we have any special events to be presented, or community events?
Yes, correct, Vice Mayor. Kat's coming up here to talk about a few.
Yeah, we have a few events coming up this month. So there's actually two this weekend. On Saturday morning is the Mayor's Fitness Challenge 5K. It's at, it starts and ends at Deltona Middle School. So this is just another fun event. So if you haven't done it yet, if you've never gone, you haven't signed up, I would do so now. Also Saturday night, the amphitheater concert series continues. We have the SMB band, really energetic, really fun. They play Motown, jazz, top 40, a little bit of everything. So it's a lot of fun. If you've never been to the concert series, it really is a lot of fun, and it's free. Second Friday of every month, we do Bonkers at the Center. So this month is going to be February 14th. The comedian is Johnny Mack. It's only $8 if you buy tickets in advance. It's Valentine's Day, so if you don't have any plans, there you go, Valentine's date night. Movie in the park this month is The Fall Guy, and this is a movie that was just released last year, and I never got around to seeing it at the theater, but I heard it was fantastic, so I'm actually looking forward to this movie. Again, it's free, and you also get movie snacks, so there's popcorn and lemonade that is available at the park while the supplies last, so that's at Dewey. And then we have another 5K this month, and it's at the end of the month, February 22nd. This one starts and ends at Dewey. This is great because the proceeds benefit the American Heart Association, so this is really for a good cause. If you like to run 5Ks, we've got a couple this month, so have fun. And then we have a few more events that we're planning for the springtime. So we have the Mayor's Fitness Challenge Warrior Run. That's going to be in March. That one is a blast. I don't know if anybody did it last year. It was so much fun. It's an obstacle course. We're going to add some new obstacles this year. There's going to be a mud run aspect to it, so that is a ton of fun. Oops. We also have a Celtic festival that we are planning and organizing for April, so we'll have more details on that soon. And then thank you to Kathy Bryant for mentioning the Deltona Garden Club plant sale. That's April 5th. And I do want to mention to anybody, if you have any community events that you want to get the message out, contact me, contact the city, and we would be more than happy to get that out there for everybody to know about.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to additions, deletions. Do we have any additions, deletions for this meeting?
Vice Mayor, we do have a deferral of item 8B.
Okay. Thank you.
It will be deferred to the February 17th meeting, date certain.
Thank you. 8B.
And I'd like to make an addition. At this time, I would like to request that we discuss the mayor's travel to D.C.
What, I'd like to ask the city attorney what the procedure is for.
I've made this request twice over the weekend.
So if the commission would like to consider a new agenda, you can, by motion, add that as an item for discussion. Because it was not noticed, you would not be able to take a formal action, but you can certainly add a discussion.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to have a discussion on the topic right now.
Hearing none, motion fails for lack of a second.
There you go.
We've got item 7, consent agenda. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mayor, if there's no item being pulled, I'd like to make a motion. To motion to approve consent agenda A through F.
Do we have,
Second.
we have a second? Madam Clerk, can we vote? That was seconded by, thank you. Motion passes 5-0. At this time, I'd like to go to item number 8A, public hearing, request for approval of ordinance number 082025 to amend firefighters' pension plan drop age at second reading.
I'd like to make a motion. I move
second.
to approve ordinance number 08-2025 to increase the age limit for drop eligibility from 60 to 65 years of age at second reading.
We have a motion and we have a second by Commissioner Howington. Can we vote?
I'll read the ordinance title.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deltona, Florida, amending and revising the provisions of Chapter 46, Article 2, Firefighters Pension Plan of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Deltona by amending Section 46-54, Deferred Retirement Option Plan, to extend the age limit for participation in the drop to age 65, providing for codification, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Terry Ellis, please.
He's outside, I'll get it.
Do we have anybody else?
He is.
Ms. Ellis, we're ready for your comment. This is the firefighter pension drop age.
I am so sorry. Terry Ellis, and I apologize if I haven't been in the room, so this might have already been addressed. But I've been going through this, and I wanted to ask about the financial benefits, the pros and cons to making this change. I really didn't see that information. What's the justification? That was my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. That was discussed at the first reading at the last meeting.
Okay, I'll review it. Thank you.
With no more public comment, can we go to a vote? Motion passes 5-0. At this time, we'll go to item C, public hearing, request approval of ordinance number 052025, amending section 110-319, PUD planned unit development to update application requirements by incorporating enhanced architectural, landscaping, and environmental standards in the city's land development code at first reading. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by
I
Commissioner.
hereby.
We have a motion by Commissioner Vila Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Howington.
Should I read the whole thing, Joyce?
Prior to commencing the presentation, I'll read the title of the ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, amending Section 110-319, PUD planned unit development, updating application requirements to include enhanced architectural, landscaping, and environmental standards of the Land Development Code of the City of Deltona, providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and an effective date.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Kim Booker, please.
How many do we have for this item? Okay.
Do I need to read the whole motion? Do I need to read the whole motion? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Kim Booker of Booker & Associates. I'm here on behalf of Blackfin Acquisitions, LLC. I just wanted to point out, at this point in time, my client has an application that was submitted for a self-storage and RV and boat storage facility.
Can you please keep this to the agenda item?
Yes. The application is relevant to the agenda item in that there are changes that weren't provided for in the notice of the zoning in progress that affect several applications. So I wanted to register one, the issues that we have with the lack of notice.
So, excuse me, Vice Mayor, if I may. Ms. Booker.
Recognize the city attorney.
Thank you. Ms. Booker is certainly welcome to comment on the content of these regulations and if she agrees or disagrees with, how these may or may not affect a project, but it is not the time to consider her particular objections to what is right now an administrative process which she's undergoing through the application.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I can point out some of the disparities in the language specifically. We have been instructed by email that the only alternative we have is MPUD, or to change the project. MPUD specifically has language that excludes or prohibits self-storage facilities. Although the table has it as listed as a conditional use, the language of the actual ordinance does not address a conditional use for self-storage facilities. So it's actually excluded from mixed PUD. They also, I'd like to point out some of the language that has been contained regarding the mixed-use application, or the classification, requires the commercial to be developed either simultaneously or first. However, in a lot of commercial developments, residential drives the commercial development. So I would ask that you give some consideration to imposing these requirements to make I know you're trying to require commercial development in Deltona because we so desperately need more commercial services here, but the language in the classification that requires certain stages of development to occur first are contrary to economic considerations that the market. They're contrary to development. They're contrary. You may have vacant commercial buildings if you don't have the residential, and generally the residential comes first, and then the commercial is decided based on the number of residential units you have. So I would ask that you look at the language a little bit more carefully, and ask that maybe, I know on the agenda it indicated that there was going to be a request to continue this provision to later, and also the planning board denied. The recommendation was for denial because they didn't get it in sufficient enough time to review it. So I would ask you to carefully look at it and consider it, and consider that there are several people that have incurred substantial time and money based on your existing codes and are being told that we're going to have to abide by this new code, which has several inconsistencies in it, in my opinion. So I'd ask that you take a closer look at it and maybe take a little bit more time before you adopt a broad classification for you have, and I'm also being told that industrial is the only area that a classification for self-storage is going to be permitted. That's not clear in the code. So if that's the intent of the commission, which I've also been told, that needs to be clarified. So I think that there are several issues regarding the ordinance that should be addressed before you adopt it. So we would respectfully, and on behalf of my client, ask you to take a little bit more time to consider the actual language of the ordinance before you approve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elise Drozik, please.
Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this is just another thing. I know I'm talking about the PUD, RPUDs, BPUDs. This is the exact same. We're talking about things were changed when a company already had a couple $100,000 to do traffic studies and everything else for a commercial project, which is over on Highland Boulevard. We keep on saying we're open for business. How are we open for business if developers go and spend all kinds of money on doing all these studies and then we change it midstream on them. I understand we don't want all the housing developments, but now we have someone that wants to put commercial over there with a restaurant in the front, and we're changing things midstream. I mean, if they can't do this, then they're going to come back and want to put housing through there. I can tell you there's some residents that live around that neighborhood. Of course, it's not too far from my house. We need commercial. We've been talking about commercial. Everybody's saying we don't need more houses. You know, Deltona's full, put a no vacancy sign, we need more commercial. We want a restaurant. They're talking about putting a restaurant in this same spot, and now they have to jump through hoops and things are changing. I mean, you can't spend $200,000 and then change the goalpost. It's just, how are we open for business if we're going to keep doing that to businesses that want to be here and invest in our city? I mean, we got to think about this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dana McCool, please.
I know how much way to go.
Well, hallelujah. Hallelujah. I would like to commend our planning and development our department for, how do I eloquently put it? Oh, I'm not a commissioner anymore, so I can say they grew a pair. And I am really, really happy about that because I've been crying about that for 8 years in this city and 4 years as a commissioner trying to move us forward with protections in place for us. And, you know, not only that, I would like to commend our attorney staff for not backing down to the ramblings, pawing, and threats of developers coming into this city, that we will now be respected and be paid the money and develop in a responsible manner in the city of Deltona. Now, I don't know if I'm saying this because I'm too short and too blonde, but I am telling you this right now, that it is time, it is past high time for the city to take on developers in the respect of taking advantage of maybe loopholes that were written, maybe ordinances that weren't airtight, and I'm glad to see us taking a closer look at this. Some of this stuff is subjective and can be interpreted however, but I feel very confident in our new attorneys. I know that they're already working really hard to reshape development, and also Jordan and Jessica been working to do this. We are, I would invite the attorney that came up and spoke to tour Deltona. We have lots of residences right now, and we can support our commercial and our industrial base. So I want to commend the commission for passing this, for taking finally development seriously, because prior to this we had politicians, as it were, how do I say this? Oh, I'm not a commissioner anymore, in bed with developers shaping how we shape Deltona, and I'm really glad that we have listened to the residents. And I would ask moving forward also that we investigate any and all, any lobbying, any meetings that we have from anyone that comes into the city wanting to develop. I know that we have a couple of developments right now that are trying to get through the gates here of poor development, bad actors that have already kind of, how do I say it, I don't know, written bad checks to the city for stuff and come in, and some people that might have personal interests. So I would ask that we also investigate familial ties to any development that we have, any and all development that we come in, because developers pay a lot of money in here to control politicians in the county of Volusia, in the state of Florida, and I'm glad that we're being protected now. As a resident, I can sit back and say that I have confidence in what the city is doing to protect us as residents from predatory development. It is a hard pill to swallow, knowing that one developer walked out of here with $8 million of our money, and it's so good that we're being protected now, and I just really wanted to say thank you so much for taking care of us commissioners and staff. It is appreciated, the credibility of, you know, the decisions that we're making concerning flooding and overdevelopment. I just sleep so much better at night, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for protecting us.
You've got 30 seconds left. Do you still want?
I'm good. That ends public comment.
Thank you. At this time, do you need to read the ordinance out?
We read the title of the ordinance into the record.
Somebody still wants to speak.
Do we have another public speaker?
Resolution 2025-25? No.
Sorry. Kathy Bryan, please.
Thanks. Yeah, 25-22. Yeah, that's it.
This is item C.
Are we talking about, not the Howland Station one, but this planned unit development?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was the wrong one. I'll go back to my slide.
The item B was continued to the next meeting.
Was what?
It was deferred to the next meeting.
Oh, thank you, okay, sorry.
All right, this time can we vote? Motion passes 5-0. This time we'll go to item 9, action items. Item A is request approval for a resolution extending the zoning in progress regarding amendments to the Land Development Code. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I hereby move to extend the legislation in progress and approve resolution number 2025-25.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Howington and a second by Commissioner Santiago.
This is a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, relating to continued zoning in progress regarding amendments to the Land Development Code, Section 110-319, PUD Plan Unit Development, to establish criteria to achieve exceptional quality community designs, determining that applications for development orders and development agreements shall continue to be subject to the zoning in progress, providing for legislative findings, recognizing continued zoning in progress, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any public speakers on the side?
Kim Booker, please. Dana McCool, please.
Oh, I'm good.
That's it? All right, can we vote? Motion passes 5-0. That concludes item 9. At this time, we'll go to the city attorneys for any comments.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. None at this time.
City manager, do we have any comments?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just two quick ones in response to Courtney's question earlier of the online comment card. As staff looks at different processes and looking at antiquated processes, apparently during COVID, when it was inappropriate to talk to each other, let alone touch each other, the city put together a process where by Friday at 5 o'clock, you would enter in your card online. It would go to the clerk's office, and then you may or may not show up on Monday night. The question came about a couple of months ago of why were we naming people that aren't even here. They put in their paperwork on Friday but never came to the meeting. But if you come to the meeting, you fill out the form and so you're here at the meeting. The other one was the clerk's office said oftentimes people would put in online on Friday and then come to the meeting and put a second one in just to make sure that their first one got in for that topic. But again, it's a COVID era piece that we just decided if you've got to come to the meeting to speak, it's probably just as easy to fill out the form here, your name and what topic, and then hand it in. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense to have that extra piece out there. So that's why we made the change to that. Also, at the end of this week, staff's going to be meeting with St. John's Water Management District to discuss a number of ways of reducing our flooding and see some options that we're allowed to work with and some that we'd like to have them send back to their office to come back and say, can we move forward on some options? So that's good juju. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to City Commission requests and reports. Commissioner Santiago.
There's just one quick thing I want to mention. If I could, of this commission going forward, if we can keep the social media drama out of this city, please. We need to focus on things like the St. Johns River water management flooding. There are things very important that we need to focus on. Like I said, let's keep the social media drama out of this building. Let's focus on what we were elected to do. Let's help the community. Let's keep Deltona moving forward in a positive way. Again, we need to support our city manager and our city attorneys that are doing an amazing job for the little amount of time that they've been here, and we do not need any more social media drama. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Howington?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Over the weekend, I attended the Deltona Panthers end-of-year awards for their football and cheerleading program. They brought home several championships. There's over 200 kids participating in the program, and they've been in operation for over 20 years, and they operate out of District 4 from Dewey-Obuster Park. I also attended the My Deltona magazine launch party. If you haven't checked that out, you should see it. It's great. And then I also attended the Institute of Elected Municipal Officials training in Gainesville. That was something that was budgeted. And so I took that training, learned a lot about Florida government, budgeting, things like that. It was a great program. I'm looking forward to the second class. I also discovered that we had a drainage ditch mowing bid that was awarded September 11th, and I would like a status update on that, because from what I've heard from the vendor, we have not done that work yet. Let's see. Do we have an employee handbook that we give to employees and commissioners with our policies and stated information?
There is one from, I believe, 2014. Staff is currently updating it to be much, obviously, more relevant and updated. So we're in that process absolutely as we speak right now.
But the policies that are in effect today are in effect today, and so we should probably have copies of those?
Clerk's office, I believe that's all online, all the policies. That was changed over.
They're all in your teach. You can look at them at any time. They're also on the shared drive.
And do we do any sort of HR training for employees? As far as when they start, to let them know what policies are?
That would depend on the job itself, I would think. We don't have the same orientation for all different departments.
Okay. How do we handle policy violations?
I'd have to have an example of what it would be, and then we'd have to have the
Well, we have an
research that
elected
goes into it.
official policy for their travel, and we just had out-of-state travel that took place, and it was supposed to come before the commission for approval. We can't go back in time and discover who would vote yes or who would vote no. So now we have travel that took place at residents' expense. It was not approved per the policy. I would like to know what the remedy is.
That would be up to the commission, I would believe, since staff does not, staff works for the commission.
I'm not allowed to have a conversation about it, so I'm talking about it now. So if nobody wants to discuss it, then I'm going to take that everybody's in acceptance of that, and that we are okay with policy violations. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
When employees violate the policy, what do we do when employees violate city policy?
Commissioner, if I may just address your earlier, so I heard you say we can't go back in time, and that's accurate. The commission can ratify the action after the fact in this case.
If it wasn't even seconded to be discussed. So that died. Well, because you couldn't talk. You can't talk until you make the motion and the second. So it's dead in the water, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I believe the position was to add it to the next agenda. However, I understand that the motion for a discussion that could not result in action did die for lack of a second today.
Would we like to have a discussion? I'll make the motion.
It's our money.
We can't make an action on it.
That's okay, we can discuss it. We have a problem. We have policies in place and nobody is following them. If we don't make a stand now, then when? We have employees that aren't following policy. If we can't follow policy, we can't expect employees to do that.
They don't trust you.
Well, would you like to make a motion? Would you like to make a different motion? Consensus?
I would like to make a motion to have a discussion about what everyone up here thinks. We've heard from the residents. We need to know what the commissioners think. It was our vote that was taken from us. It also states in the policy that we're supposed to know when people are traveling on city business. I would like to know where the mayor is.
That motion died for a lack of a second already.
Okay.
I have a question.
So we're not talking about it. we're brushing it under the rug. That's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Caldwell.
So if we said, go ahead with this motion.
Can you use the microphone?
Can we get, we can't hear you. Can we get consensus under customer comments to have actions?
You could request an action item to be added to the next agenda that could be noticed.
Can we get consensus on items that we're going to discuss up here during commissioner comments?
It has been previous practice of this commission to do so, so yes, based on that, yes.
That's what.
Commissioner Caldwell, would you like to go ahead and finish briefing out? Yes, please. Briefing out. Sorry.
Before the commission that's up here, most of the commissioners that are up here, the mayor is well aware of our travel policies, as this was brought up about a year ago when he traveled to Mississippi. At this time, I'd like to ask for consensus for a vote of no confidence on the mayor's actions.
I'll second, but I also want to make a motion for a repayment as well.
I'm getting there.
That's fine.
I'm asking for consensus, yes.
She's not making a motion, she's asking for.
I'm asking for consensus of a vote of no confidence.
So can we take that action?
What we have done, commissioners, in the past here is that during this moment, you would ask for consensus to be put on the next agenda. With agreement, then it would be on the next agenda as an item for an actual vote. That's just what we've been doing recently. So.
I asked twice.
So
the process, commissioners, something on the agenda, they bring it up under their comment, and then the commissioners agree. Otherwise, we could have 30 agendas items of a commissioner just one day calling for a bunch. So this has been the process.
Let me revise it. Can I get consensus to have this put on the next agenda with proper notice?
Madam Clerk, can we do an electronic vote? For the consensus to put it on the next agenda.
So we can't do a no confidence vote today.
It's already seconded.
It's already seconded.
Yeah, we want a no confidence vote.
So you can't take action tonight unless it's been noticed. A symbolic vote that doesn't result in an action would be sufficient, but would be acceptable. But if you want to take action, you would need to follow the process that the manager outlined to add it to the next agenda.
All right. I want to put it on the next meeting then. Would you like to revise your second? I'd like to put it on the next meeting.
I'll revise my second.
Okay. Is this our vote?
This is to put it on the next meeting.
This is to put it on the next meeting.
Next regular meeting.
Next regular.
This will be on this meeting. Twice.
There wasn't proper notice. Are we voting?
I'd like to make
Do we have any?
comments, if I may.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Thank you. So before we go on the vote, I was passed by. So I know that I'm hearing what you guys are saying, the attorneys. I'm hearing what the city manager is saying, but that's not what we did before. When we asked for a consensus at a meeting, it was voted right there and then. So, change policies are changing every time we come up to this dais, and I'm not happy with that. We need to be made aware when these changes take place. I've been here 7 years, and in 7 years, when you make you call for a consensus vote, is done on the spot.
That's what we're doing.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're asking to be put on the next agenda. That to me is also brand new. And I hate to say this, but I know there's a vote. There's a vote on the floor, but because I was passed by and didn't get a chance to give my opinion, I would like to make, if I'm allowed, to have this
consensus be decided today. And put the mayor on censor because, and I know a lot of people are calling out for the city manager. The city manager is not his boss. He's the city manager's boss. And he should know better. And I cannot hold the city manager accountable for something that a person who is his boss does. So I hear you, I understand you, but I cannot, in all honesty, hold the city manager accountable for this. The mayor knew. I know he said he didn't. Shame on him if he didn't. When I'm requesting something from the city, the first thing I do, I carry this all the time. This is with me at every meeting. You can make a copy as well and keep it with you. I look at this to make sure that what I am going to do is correct. And if I'm not sure, I'll go to the attorney's office and ask the question. So I had no idea he was going to Washington. I found this out at the last minute. I didn't ask questions. I felt that he's an adult. He's a mayor. So he should know what's right and what's wrong and what he can and can't do. So I don't know if you want to amend your consensus, but with the respect of our attorneys, I would like to ask that a consensus decision be made today.
So if I may clarify, you may ask for a consensus and move forward with your original motion, but you cannot take any action today. So under our code, there is a section 2.380 for violations, which requires that, and I'm going to read this portion, a violation may be brought forward by a city commissioner or charter officer. A charge of violation shall be initiated by motion of a member of the commission who shall summarize the alleged violation in the motion. The city commissioners, including the commissioner charged with the violation, may take part in and vote as to all matters relating in any way to the charge. If a majority of the city commission votes to have the charge heard, consideration of the alleged violation shall be placed on an upcoming agenda by the city manager for a formal quasi-judicial hearing. There it goes on to discuss the quasi-judicial hearing. So you all may take a symbolic vote tonight. You cannot you cannot hold the quasi-judicial hearing, the formal quasi-judicial hearing tonight. So you can take a symbolic vote as a consensus, like you normally do. That is accurate. But for this particular thing, you would need to make a motion to summarize the alleged violation in the motion. Then you may vote, you must vote, if you want to have it heard at the next meeting, and it will be on the upcoming agenda for the formal quasi-judicial hearing. So when I said you can't take action tonight, that's what I meant. You can't conduct the hearing tonight. You certainly may take a vote that is a symbolic vote. I just want to make that distinction clear.
So I have a question. Is that, excuse me, on our charter, or is that a city policy?
So this is the charter. This is section
It's on the charter?
It's in the Code of Ordinances. It's section 2-380. There's a specific section for violations, and these are sanctions for charter violations. So this is Article 4 of our charter, sanctions for charter violation, and this is the specific section that discusses it. It was adopted by ordinance originally in 2014 and then in 2016, but it's related to the charter, an alleged violation of the charter.
Okay, so, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. We had a former commissioner who sat on that chair. The mayor called for a vote to censor that commissioner, and it was done on the spot.
It was symbolic.
So again, you may take a symbolic vote tonight, but if you want to follow the process for a sanction, which is, I believe, what you want to do, yes, it does need to go through the quasi-judicial hearing, which means that the parties would have an opportunity to present evidence. I mean, these are just like our quasi-judicial hearings for land use. So you certainly can take a vote of no confidence. You can take a symbolic vote tonight.
Can we listen to the lawyer, please?
Can we stop
we want to make a decision over here, but we want to do the right decision, so I'd like to hear her.
Certainly, you may take a symbolic vote tonight, you can take a vote condemning the action tonight, but in order for the process to move forward with the public sanction or public censure, which I believe is what the commission has been discussing, you would need to follow the process to go through the formal quasi-judicial hearing. So there would need to be a motion that outlines the alleged violations to place it on an upcoming meeting. That technically doesn't have to be our next meeting, potentially if you want more time. And then there would need to be a second, a vote, and it would need a majority vote to be placed on an upcoming agenda. And then it would be a quasi-judicial hearing. And if that's the path that the commission elected to go down, we would discuss with you the process for that. But it'd be very similar to our normal quasi-judicial hearings.
I would like to continue with my revised motion to have it put on February 17th meeting.
Consistent with policy, could you summarize the alleged violation? That's what I'm hearing.
That he was fully aware of the policies and procedures of the city of Deltona when he went on this trip, as this is the second time he's done it.
Okay. Seconder agrees?
Can I add something to it if you're okay with it?
Please.
All out-of-state travel was to be approved by majority vote of the commission. We are all held accountable to each other, and we are held accountable to our residents. So I want to make sure that we add that as part of the violation. The travel policy was not adhered to. This is a policy issue.
That's said in the...
Agreed.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
You still censor. Still censor. No, but I still have more discussion, so.
All right.
We're going to vote?
Yeah, at this time, we don't have any further discussion. Can we vote on this? And this vote is to bring it up for a quasi-judicial hearing at the...
On the next meeting, 17th of this month.
If there has been a second, you may...
There was a second.
Then you would need to take a vote. You could do the electronic vote on Commissioner Caldwell's motion.
Do we need public comment on this item?
I will say yes. This obviously wasn't noticed as a specific topic, but because commissioner comments were noticed, and this is going to be placed on an upcoming agenda, I do think it would be appropriate.
I have a question for the lawyer. I have a question, Gemma. Because it's going to be a quasi-judicial, do we have to openly vote on it? Or can we do it?
At the next meeting?
No, here, right now.
Quasi-judicial. This is just...
Is on the next one?
You would need to openly vote at both meetings. So if you want to put it on the agenda, you would need to vote now. There would need to be a majority vote. And then, I'm sorry.
But that can be done electronically.
It can be done electronically, certainly.
I see we have public comment. Is there anybody else that would like to fill out a speaker form?
Public comment? I don't copy out.
Elizabeth Chavez, please.
I absolutely love the fact, Maritza, that you're making a lot of sense tonight, as well as Dory is. And I understand that it could be a little bit scary sometimes, right? To go against the people that you know, that you work with, when they're doing something wrong. This only makes us better. This could be the better future of Deltona. And I'm seeing it now. I haven't seen it in the 8 to 10 years that I've been coming up here, talking about things being done wrong, especially that, one investigation I'm asking you guys to do, somebody already approached me to talk about it individually. I'm giving it to the lawyers of the city because that's a real problem. And I really wish that you guys continue to do these type of dialogues because it lets us see the transparency. So thank you very much.
Jody Lee Strozik, please.
Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. This is, and I applaud you, Dory. I've seen all your writings. I've been reading the news articles, everything else. I'm glad you're following through with it. I'm not against him going on this trip to Washington, D.C. Everybody should be able to go to it. It's a historic event, whether it's one party or next, Republican, Democrat, it really don't make a difference. The fact that is we paid for it is a whole nother ballgame. We had this same discussion with traveling out of the city and traveling out of state about a year and a half ago with myself and several of the commissioners that are still up there. We discussed this. So the mayor's fully aware of this policy. Ms. Vasquez, I'm glad you brought up the whole about the city manager and stuff. I happen to tend to disagree a little bit because the city manager is the one that approved it, had the secretaries pay with the credit card and paid for the hotel room, and he's the one that authorized them to use the car. So the manager knew also. The manager is the one that should know about how our travel policies are. So he's just at fault as much as the mayor is. I think it's a historic event. Everybody should be able to go to one. I just don't think we should pay for it. There's been a lot of things about this. There's been traveling coming up. I mean, as right now, I know that there's a lot of education things going on in Tallahassee. From what I understand, the mayor's in Tallahassee going through some education thing about the education department, which is fine. If it benefits the city, it's all good. But everything he went up there was no benefit to the city. He said something about this conference of mayors. Do we belong in that? Because if you look up that group, it's about anywhere between $9,000 and $50,000 to be in that group that had the mayor's conference up there. So, and I don't believe we're part of that group. So they put out all these different things. These are things we should not be responsible for. If he wants to go, I'm all for it. It's a historical event. But we should not be held responsible. But also, at the same time, the travel guidelines has been discussed. We hired a city manager that should know these policies. He's been trying to rewrite them. I know one of them, I believe it's one for city employees that he just predated it was changed, but he changed the date on it when it was discussed with commissioners before, and that's recently been changed. But this is something the manager knew about, the mayor knew about, and he was allowed to go anyway. And then they say he's relationship building. With what? There's nobody up there that gives a darn about Deltona. Like Commissioner Howington said, he can meet with Corey Mills. He can meet with Rick Scott. He can meet with all the people right here. Up there, it's nothing about except for a vacation. And that's what we paid for. Thank you.
Richard Bellick, please.
I disagree with Jody on one thing. It was a second honeymoon. It wasn't a vacation. It was a second honeymoon. Now, we're going over these things here 3, 4, 5 times. This is a horse and pony show now. Maritza, thank you. Dory, thank you. Why you didn't back her motion is beyond me. That's cowardice. You know the guy did wrong. You just want to smooth this out. You don't want to take action against him. He's responsible just as much as the mayor. I mean, come on. You've got to grow up now. You sit up there and your heads go this way and you're looking like this at the other person that's talking and you do nothing when it comes time to vote. Be a man. You're a disgrace. You gotta second these motions. You know he stole money. He misused funds. He robbed these people. And what do you do? She wants to look at him. He wants to look at him. He wants to look at her. I'm disappointed with you too, Santiago. Talk, 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 do nothing. You don't want no public forum. You don't want no social media. Come on. Where you in friggin' Russia? Wake up. You people got to act here every week. I mean, there were so many motions out of this guy, but whatever. I thought it was the Declaration of Independence. Oh, you can do this. Quasi-judicial, this, that. Oh, you can vote, but then you can't do this. You can do what you want. You run this town, not them and not him. You run it. Man up. Maritza, I'm proud of you now. We had our differences. I'm proud of you right now. Vote tonight. What's the problem? Come on, you're scratching your beard. What's the problem? You got elected to represent the people, big head. Represent them.
Courtney Cross-Burgos, please.
I got big head in there.
Idiot. Good evening again. I'm all for getting it out in the open and looking, but what I'd like to see is having it out in the open before its decision is made. We need to see what
exactly was the purpose for going up there, what he charged, who okayed it, the whole 9 yards. We can't just go by what we see on social media or what somebody says here or there or whatever. There's black and white, there's a paper trail. Can we see that before anybody votes on anything? And then you can do whatever is the right thing. Thanks.
Albert Bryan, please.
He was the only mayor of Volusia County there, No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Norman was and Edgewater was. Oh, he
So
was
shut up.
a big deal.
Can we have quiet so we can actually do this?
Sit down, you witch.
Stop. Okay. Here again, we have a process. The process was violated. It's fairly easy to understand that the process was violated. That's why we have these rules. That's why they've been on the books for almost 25 years now. You're going to have to take and make a decision to do the morally right thing. If you want to censure him tonight, censure him tonight. All she's saying is it's not going to have ramifications down the road. Whatever. Call for a vote of no confidence. All she's saying is it doesn't carry any weight as far as ramifications of making him pay it back or anything like that. That's fine. So be it. But as far as a charter violation, this is not a charter violation of any kind. It's a procedural policy problem. This is at least the 5th or 6th one we've caught him in. There's a problem there. When a man lies to you, do you think he's going to tell you the truth anymore? No. As far as social media drama, that was funny you said that. That's really funny. Here's the real problem here. Y'all don't want to take us seriously, so we can't take you seriously. When you don't stand up and do the morally right thing, you have no credibility. None whatsoever, at all. Every time you come up here, you sit down, you come in late, which forced us last week or last meeting to start our public comment late. Was that respecting us? No. You came in late while I was talking. Was that respecting me? No. But you want us to respect you. How can we? When you disrespect us at every corner. He doesn't have the authority to take and move my public forum outside the meeting. You know why? Because at the very beginning of all commission guidelines, it says only the commission can make policy. That's changing policy, sir. You cannot change policy. You don't have the authority to. Only they do. Hence, while this was done with a referendum, well, resolution, sorry, excuse me, resolution. This was voted on by 7 members up there in 2006, again in 2013. As Jody said, we brought this up a year and a half ago because he violated them then. 2 wrongs still doesn't make it right. All we're asking you to do is do the morally right thing. Show some freaking ethics. They can't.
That ends public comment.
All right. Is there any discussion by the commission?
About the vote.
Can we go for a vote? Motion passes 5-0.
Finish my comments now?
Absolutely.
Can't. Because the mayor was or was not aware of our travel policy, I would like to request that his credit card and the use of his vehicle be revoked until we have this meeting to make the determination.
I'll second.
Before,
can I add to that?
He wants to remove his.
does he have a city credit card with his name on it?
He does not have a city credit card.
Does he have use?
No one on the commission has a city credit card.
Does he have the use of a credit card?
For a hotel booking.
Okay.
What about a gas card?
If you have the vehicle.
I saw receipts on the PRR that were a WEX fleet card.
Yes.
The gas card is in each of the city vehicles.
Yes.
He did reserve the vehicle for Tuesday and Wednesday, because I don't have it, he has it.
So is he on business travel right now? Because nobody made me aware per the policy. I'm supposed to know where my mayor is. Is he on city business?
Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Yes, so I'm requesting that his use of the vehicle and any city funds be suspended until the outcome.
I think it would be appropriate to wait till after the next commission meeting and make that part of the, any violation or punishment per se.
It's not a punishment, it's not a punishment, it's just stopping them from using our company funds until we make a decision on the outcome of this.
This is a historical issue. We have a problem.
We have a motion. Do we have a
second?
We have a motion and a second. How would
I want to add to that, though. I also want to suspend any repayments for his previous trip to DC or ask for reimbursement until this matter is resolved.
I'll second that.
Do we have a process to do this?
You can, through consensus, as per practice, suspend activities pending the outcome of the hearing, but I would urge you not to take any action that would be considered final action, but you could suspend pending the outcome of the hearing. There is a bit of a complication, as the city clerk indicated, that he's currently utilizing a city vehicle for city business. So I would likely, it's reasonable to recommend that, with the exception of the current trip, which when it ends, forward.
Can I inquire what the city business he is at now?
I'm sorry,
Can I inquire what the city business is he's at now?
I believe he had a list of meetings today with a number of different elected officials that represent our area up there in Tallahassee. No matter if it was a specific day or it was just a meeting, I believe with Georgia, the representative for the council when it comes to lobbying.
Well, I would like to move forward with suspension of...
Pending the return of his...
Pending the return.
From, okay.
Pending the return of the car.
So as soon as he brings it back, from that point until the conclusion of the hearing.
Quasi-judicial hearing on February 17th?
Yes.
Okay.
Seconder agrees?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we go, do we have any further discussion on this item?
Does Joyce need a repeat?
Okay, can we go for a vote? Motion 4-1. Commissioner Caldwell, do you have anything else for your commission comments? All right.
Can you put a point of order, please?
You can. You can.
I'm asking you to do it because you're running the meeting. But if you're going to finish, then that's fine.
Okay. I'd like to finish. Commissioner Vila Vasquez, do you have any commission comments?
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Marissa.
Aside from everything that just happened, this agenda had something that I want to call out specifically in consent agenda item. Item D was the request for a resolution declaring zoning in progress regarding amendments to the Land Development Code. Article 4, stormwater management. I think that is something that this city has so desperately needed. It's the next step to update the Land Development Code and the stormwater chapter of our Land Development Code. So I'd like to just call that out. Other than that, that's all I have. Meeting adjourned.